Welcome to the Moved to Meditate podcast. I'm your host, Addie D. Hilster. This is a place for vibrant discussions about mindfulness, movement practices, and ways to find more balance and presence in daily life. Here you'll find resources to help you progress on your path, as well as insightful conversations with mindful movement, yoga, meditation, and Dharma teachers from a range of traditions. On this podcast, we spotlight embodied approaches to mindfulness and the more contemplative aspects of movement practice. Listen in and connect to a community of like-minded practitioners. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 89 of the podcast. I am delighted that you're here and also delighted to bring you a conversation today with Monica LeBaron, the author of Sleep Simplified, Simple Tools to Reduce Anxiety, Finish the Stress Cycle, and Sleep Like a Queen. Struggling with sleep is the worst, and it can have such a profound impact on your health, your mood, and your whole life. The good news is that you can improve your sleep with some simple yoga therapy practices like the ones we'll be talking about on the podcast today. In this interview, Monica shares her knowledge about sleep in such a warm and relatable way, including her own story of recovering from insomnia and depression. She provides insights into the types of yoga practices that are good before bed, including how she uses Yoga Nidra or yogic sleep practices. You'll hear about the 4 stages of sleep and how many hours you need each night, what sleep has to do with setting healthy boundaries, what it means to complete the stress cycle, and why it helps to savor a mantra or an affirmation like you would savor chocolate cake or guacamole. Monica also emphasized looking at the internal reasons for the habits that impact our sleep, not just their external manifestations like phone use or caffeine intake. And she offered examples of some reflections and practices you can use all day to help set yourself up for better sleep at night. Be sure to check out the episode page on my website at movedtomeditate.yoga/podcast for the link to Monica's Yoga Nidra practice, as well as her book. The Spanish language edition just released in the last few weeks, so that is very exciting too. And before we go into the interview, just a quick heads up about an event I'm offering next month. I'll be teaching a special 2-hour online workshop called Movement That Unlocks Mindfulness. If you are interested in meditation but find it challenging to sit in total stillness and silence, this is for you. We will be exploring movement-based meditation techniques that can unlock mindfulness for those who haven't had much luck with practices like traditional sitting meditation, mindfulness-based stress reduction, or even doing, quote, beginner-friendly guided practices on a meditation app. We'll be experimenting with very gentle mindful movements and variations of the traditional meditation techniques that don't require complete stillness. This event is on April 13th, and all the info is on my website at movedtomeditate.yoga/events. Okay, with all of that, I think we're ready to hear this conversation with Monica LeBaron. I hope you'll find some helpful sleep tips here and enjoy the conversation. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast today. I'm delighted to be joined today by Monica LeBaron. She is a certified yoga therapist and bilingual sleep coach working with English and Spanish-speaking clients to help them benefit from better sleep. She's the author of Sleep Simplified, Simple Tools to Reduce Anxiety, Finish the Stress Cycle, and Sleep Like a Queen. And I know so many people who struggle with insomnia from time to time, myself included. So I thought this would be a great topic, and it would be really wonderful to speak with Monica and get some insights on how to sleep better. So welcome to the podcast, Monica.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward for this conversation.
Yay. Yeah. So I would love to just jump in with a little bit about your background and why you chose to really specialize in yoga therapy for sleep. And just, I'm curious if you had a history of issues with sleep or what it was that brought you to this.
I did, and it wasn't fun or easy. I first thought I was dealing with PMS, but then it was like all month long. And then I noticed anxiety and stress and physical pain, and all that led to insomnia. And then after not being able to sleep and all that carried, it was that led me to depression. So I found yoga therapy, or yoga therapy found me in a very difficult time of my life when I was struggling to sleep. My mood was low all the time. I was thinking of jumping out of the building. I didn't trust myself, and it was very, very stressful time in my life where I lived abroad, and I was so far away from home that I didn't have this community. I didn't have a lot of things. So technically, everything happened at once. And when I found yoga therapy on my third session, I was like, I need to do this. I need to become a yoga therapist. And like I mean, everything happens for a reason, right? In this moment, I had a flashback of me being a child or a kid, seeing documentary with my dad about yoga, and thinking, wow, one day I want to be like a yoga teacher. And it was more like, oh, one day I want to be an astronaut. Like, so far away. But when I had this experience, my mood was like, my third session, my mood improved. I was sleeping better. I felt more confident. And all this like got me thinking, I'm like, well, one day I'll be a yoga teacher.
That's so cool that this time of stress and struggle turned into this transformative like thing that really shaped the direction of your life. And I was so curious because you're saying you were living in Beijing, China at the time. How did you find a yoga therapist? Were you working with someone local there or online, or how in the world did that connection get made?
I know, right? I used to do yoga class. I take yoga classes like back home, and I was at this event, and a friend of mine introduced me to a yoga therapist, and she was working at the local hospital. And when I heard this, I'm like, ooh, free yoga classes, because my insurance would pay for all my sessions. And at this point, I was so bad that I was going to the hospital every week because something else was wrong. So I'm like,
Mm.
yoga, free yoga classes. Okay, let me apply. and I asked my psychiatrist to refer me, and then the company that my partner was working there had this amazing insurance policy. So I was lucky enough to get yoga therapy sessions for free.
Amazing. That's very fortunate you had access to those resources. And when you were talking about the experience of not being able to sleep, the connection to all of these other symptoms, it just really underscores like how much sleep it's crucial to our health, and it compounds other problems when we don't get enough rest and our body can't restore itself, right? It just things start to pile up and it affects many, many aspects of our health.
Yeah.
So that's leads me to the next question really is like, can we talk about why sleep is so important for overall health and why do you think that should be a priority?
So not sleeping well, anybody who encounter this, I'm sure is like most of your listeners once in a lifetime haven't been able to sleep. It's the indication of something else, right? Of a deeper issue. So this can be that your anxiety levels are high, you're stressed. It could be something related to digestive issues or heart, or like I've noticed in myself that when I wasn't sleeping, I was going to the doctor every week because something else was wrong, right? So what happens with our sleep is like that secret sauce for our body to restore, to regenerate your tissue, to help your body process anxiety, stress, like all that. It creates a lot of things in your body, and not sleeping well, it can affect every aspect of your life, right? And the opposite, once you sleep really good and you get your amount that your body needs, it's like there's no organ in your body that it won't benefit from getting good sleep.
Yeah. I've read that sleep affects our metabolism and our immune system and how well our brain is functioning and our memory, our moods, all kinds of, our hormones, every system in the body like you just said.
Yes. Yeah, and if you read a book like Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, you're scared. Like, oops, I have to get better sleep, right? And like I try to focus on the simple things that we can see on each other. Like, what is it something that I want upgrade in my life right now? Oh, I want better relationships. Oh, I want to make more money. I want to be a better mom. Like all those things, by getting better sleep, they're gonna help because your mood is going to improve, your energy levels, you won't be so reactive, all those things. It makes it easier to say, oh, I could benefit from sleep, even if I don't have trouble falling asleep. But if I get better sleep, how would my life be?
And that's why it should be a priority to pay attention to. And yet, so many of us don't get enough sleep or don't really take care of our sleep habits in a way where we can really restore ourselves.
Yeah, that's very sad. But imagine that you would get paid $1,000 a night to sleep your 8 hours. Would people pay more attention?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But I guess, like, it sounds like you're saying we get $1,000 worth of benefits a
Hmm.
night if we were to invest in our sleep by
Yes.
really, really, paying attention to that aspect of our life and how crucial it is to our overall well-being.
Yes, absolutely.
And I know we need to go through like these different sleep cycles, these different like phases of the sleep process a few times every night in order to get that restoration and that kind of maintenance for the body and for the brain. Which how long do we need to be sleeping? Is it 8 hours? Like how long does it take for us to really get through those sleep cycles that we need to go through?
So there's four sleep cycles, and they take around 90 to 100 minutes. So ideally, you want to sleep like the equivalent of 8 hours, right? But everybody's sleeps needs are very different. I like to think about that sleep that you need like food, right? So when you're a baby, maybe you need more sleep and more eat. Like so, and when you're sick, your body needs a little bit more sleep to be able to rest. And so it's very important for like the people who are listening to find out exactly how many hours of sleep they need. And of course, there's people that get the best from 7 hours, and most of I mean, I need 9 hours, so so it's not exactly a number, but what is important is that you go through these cycles around, I think, 6 times. Am I doing the math right?
The cycle
And
takes like 90 minutes to 100 minutes or something like that, and you need to do that like 5 or 6 times,
yeah,
right?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
So we get that.
We can't count, we're asleep, it's all good. We're asleep when it's happening.
Yeah, but the important thing is that you have enough time in the night that you go through the cycles again and again, because each one of the cycles is giving you something different, right? For example, the first cycle is when you're like with that light sleep. That light sleep, it helps your body with the metabolism. That's where it starts. So if
Hmm.
you're laying in bed and you're like, oh, I can't fall asleep, like your body's working with metabolism. Relax, let that process flow.
Oh, that's cool. And then there's the, like, deeper sleep phases and the phase when we're dreaming, and do you wanna say a few words about the different benefits of these? I find this so fascinating.
It is very fascinating, and the more I've learned, the more I think I don't know anything because it's so complex and at the same time so fascinating, right? There's what people try to get is like more of the REM sleep, and that's when you're going through more dreams and processing different things in the body. And then there's like the deeper sleep where it's helping your brain process more things. So each one of the states, it's going to help you in different ways.
And they all have a different kind of function that they play, and just amazingly, our body knows how to take care of this when we don't have to be consciously doing any of it. We're asleep. It's
Absolutely.
just like kind of magic. When people think of sleep as like wasted time, or they'll say things like, "I'll sleep when I'm dead," maybe they should reflect. We can reflect on the amazing repair and benefits that are going on while we're resting.
Yeah, like if you get a good sleep, it can feel like you're on a vacation next day because you slept so good, you're such in a good mood. So it's important to think about things that we want to do in life and how a sleep can help us to do that.
What are some of the habits you see, like, from your students or your clients that they have that interfere with their ability to fall asleep or stay asleep or sleep well?
The first thing that would people think is that their phone, electronics, or maybe caffeine. But
Mhm.
sadly, I see a lot of women that are putting other people as a priority. And
Mm.
so they're feeling resentment, they're feeling sad, angry, then they're not feeling love. And when they come to me and I see it, because that's how I was, I help them with that process to start setting healthy boundaries and loving themselves so much that they can actually set their health and their sleep as a priority. And you will be amazed the transformation of these women are having. And I'm so proud of every one of the students and clients that I've been working with, and they're putting their 50% to actually get these results.
That's really interesting because, yeah, my mind was going to, like, caffeine or, just being too busy, not being able to shut your brain off, or having too much screen time right before bed, or staying up late watching TV. And I'm sure those are all, factors, but you're pointing to the fact that, like, we can look at those external things, but we have to look at the internal as well. And there can be, emotional aspects and kind of mental health aspects that are playing into, how we're able to set those boundaries and make those choices to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, deeper issues than putting your phone away. Absolutely.
Yeah, really interesting. I mean, they could be intertwined. Like, not feeling like you could put your phone away could be like part of feeling that you have to be on call for everyone,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Or being so busy on the phone and not really paying attention of what your soul really wants.
Mm. Yeah, just when your days are so full of catering to other people, sometimes it doesn't feel like there's that time to pause and notice, what is it that I need?
Mhm.
Yeah, good points. And so, since you were talking about some of the transformations your clients have had, maybe we could talk about an example of a client that was really struggling with sleep, and a difficult case, let's say, and how you were able to work with them and what happened.
So this is a beautiful question because I love to see the transformation in my clients, and to say that they did this is always a 50-50, right? They're doing their part and I'm doing my part as a therapist. And when Mariana came to me, she was struggling and wasn't able to sleep for a couple years now. She was taking sleep medications and other medications because she has hip surgery, knee surgery, and a bunch of things going on. So I was like,
That's a long time to go without being able to sleep well, right?
yes.
A couple of years? Wow.
Yeah, and she was sleeping 3 to 4 hours and in
Mm.
pain, she was frustrated, angry, like everything, and I was like, "How am I going to help her?" So I did my research on these, issues, and on our first session, we just focused on, just breathing, teaching her how to breathe, and teaching her how to set an intention and transform those negative thoughts in her mind. And that night, she slept 8 hours, and that
Wow.
week I know, and I was like, "You know what? This is a 12-week process. Our goal is in 12 weeks, this is, what we're gonna focus on," right? She wanted to sleep, 5 days, 5 hours. That was her goal. So it's like 80% of the time sleeping 5 hours, like, that was such a good goal, right? And achievable because I could not tell her, "You're gonna sleep 8 hours tonight." And I was like, "No."
From where she started,
Yeah,
yeah.
no. And the next week we met, she slept 5 days, 8 hours. And I was like, "What?" Say that
That's
again?
such a quick
It
transformation.
was, and honestly, she's a go-getter, she did her part of her job, and, like, right now, it's been, I think, a year, and 80% of the time, she's sleeping her 8 hours, and she's doing the work. You know how yoga therapy, the breathing exercise work, but if people don't do the work, that's nothing gonna happen, so I'm just very proud of her
Mhm.
and excited, and, the universe sends us what we need, so I know I'm always being challenged and getting out of my comfort zone and read and invest in myself to be able to be there for my clients, so I'm really happy for this transformation.
That's amazing, and it sounds like she had a lot going on and you could have gone in different directions with it, but you chose to focus a lot on her nervous system and teaching her some breathing practices so she could regulate.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the first things that I work with people. I tell them that our nervous system is like the electric part of a car, right? So this is a good way for people to understand that when something's going wrong, it can affect the whole system. And by stabilizing the nervous system, because it's so long, it's so vast, it's so important, we can start with the really good accomplishments.
Yeah, it makes such a huge difference. And you have a whole chapter in your book about working with the nervous system. And in that section, I think is where you talked about the importance of completing the stress cycle. And because chronic stress is just, such a huge piece of what keeps us up at night, I would love to hear more about what you mean by that, completing the stress cycle, and what does that look like?
So I didn't know all this myself. I wish I knew this a long time ago. And what that means is getting your system out of fight or flight mode, technically to rest and digest mode. So when you are stressed, there's a trigger, right? It can be external, it can be internal. And what this trigger does is activating a stress response. So by activating the stress, there's a lot of like cocktails of hormones and activities going on in your brain, and it's sending all these signals to either fight, run, freeze. The thing is that we we think that by getting rid of the stressor, which could be traffic, could be um, a difficult client or a kid crying or the phone ringing, whatever it is, it's enough. Like, oh yeah, I came to get a massage and that's it. But if your body is not receiving that signal that it's okay to relax, it's not finishing the stress cycle. So sometimes it can feel
Mm.
like that, that sighing or maybe crying. It's like that part. But each one of us has a different way to finish the cycle. So it's important for you to learn how is this and in different stages and different matters is going to be very different.
So it's like saying sometimes our body doesn't know that stressful experience is over and it needs to kind of do something to release that tension in order to go back into rest and digest state, which is where we sleep, right?
Yeah, if you tell your body, "我不明白你说什么," it's not gonna understand because it doesn't speak Chinese, right? So you need to speak.
I was like, what was that? I don't
Yes,
speak
that's
Chinese.
exactly what your body's saying. So it's important for you to speak your body's language. Oh, when my shoulders are cold, I'm sad. I recently learned that when I'm cold, I'm stressed as well. So I'm like, why is that happening? That's something new, right? So now I'm evolving. Things that used to happen before are not happening, but new things are coming. So I need to learn, okay, how do I finish the stress cycle in this state in my life?
And so you mentioned some forms of like emotional release that could be a sign that the stress cycle is completing, like crying or a sigh of relief. Are there things we can do, like practices we can do that help us, like movement or breath practices, or if we know that we're stuck and we need to complete that stress cycle?
Yeah, yoga itself, it's great. There's a lot of like there's more physical things that you can do or they are known to do, like going for a run, going for a walk, screaming. But you can also do a breathing exercise that you practice before, right? Not when you're super stressed, but something that you practice and told your body, when I'm doing this, I'm calm. So if I'm tired, angry, whatever, and I do this, it's a signal to calm down. And I think every yoga pose might help, but it has to be something that you tried before and you told your body, hey, this is our happy place. And there could be other things like kissing or hugging or writing. So there's many things, and for example, going for a run for somebody might not work or any physical activity, but maybe writing, it's a great way to do that, or calling a friend, not exactly talking about the problem, but just talking to somebody and getting all those happy hormones in your body.
So it sounds like it could be many things, but it needs to be something that reminds you that you're safe or that kicks in a memory to your body or sends the message to your body that now we're safe. This is okay.
Yes.
That's cool. So you can practice those things and have them ready for when you need them.
Yes. Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about yoga therapy is that we are, what's the word? Preventing the fire, right? Not just putting it out. And by all these practices, our body will use them when it needs to, but you'll be in a way better space to do it than trying to, I don't know, meditate when you're having an anxiety attack, for example, right?
I love that reminder because I mean, I think a lot of us are drawn to these practices. We're pushed to these practices when we're in kind of a crisis. But if we remember to invest time in these practices when things are good and things are steady and okay, that pays off so much and gives us so many resources for those more challenging times.
Yeah. Yeah, we're filling up our bank account with high interest.
The yoga savings and loan, right?
Yes.
Something like that. What what particular kinds of yoga practices are appropriate before bed? Like are there different things you would do at night versus in the morning that are better for preparing for sleep?
I do more gentle yoga. I do mudras that are calmer. I I train with Lee Albert. I don't know if you know about him, but I he's a very amazing teacher and human being, and he works with positional therapy, which is a neuromuscular balance technique. And all of my yoga practices that I have in the book or I teach my clients, I use this type of stretching, which is super gentle, but you're staying a little bit longer. So you're like sending that signal to your brain that it's okay to calm down. And I love this practice because not only it's going to put your body physically in balance again, but it will also help your body relax for bed. So I'll think like the calmer practice, of course, Yoga Nidra, any of the restorative and breathing exercises that are more calming, like longer exhales and stuff like that.
Nothing too activating or too, you know, up energy, right? Not too strenuous right before bed.
No, unless you don't wanna sleep. I mean, unless it's night and you wanna go to the party or you have, an event or something like that, you could do a little more active, but if you wanna go to bed and sleep, like
Yeah, but I think it's important to talk about because I think some people, when they think of yoga, to in their head, like it's all gentle, but that's not necessarily true. And within the yoga tradition, when you learn more, there's definitely practices that are meant more for uplifting your energy, waking you up, preparing you for action, and others that are way more for winding down and calming the system. So we want to choose the right things.
yeah, even for a yoga nidra practice, I used to teach at night or the evening. And after a yoga nidra practice, people would be like, "Oh, I fell asleep, and I was so relaxed and so calm that it was so hard to fall asleep at night," you know? So because they got the rest way before. So when I send people my yoga nidra audio and send them to, these practices, I like practice beforehand, see how this works for you, right? I use it every night, but sometimes like even like I have a inside timer list where I have music for like preparing for bed and then a yoga nidra so I can fall asleep and then music afterwards, right? So sometimes I forget and then I just fall asleep and then at 2 a.m. the yoga nidra is going on so I wake up because I had that deeper rest and I'm like, so it happens, right?
So it's powerful and you need to time it correctly.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. I haven't really talked about Yoga Nidra a lot on the podcast. It's something I do enjoy, though. It's a traditional yogic meditation practice, and a lot of people call it yogic sleep. So I am curious to hear a little more about how it fits into your work as a sleep coach and how you use it with people, or maybe just even describe what it feels like to do yoga nidra in case anyone's listening to this who's never done it.
Well, let me tell you a very interesting story because I told you I started in Beijing, right? And my yoga therapist, Nasi Mani, she introduced me to Yoga Nidra and she gave me this link to a YouTube audio to Jennifer Reyes. And this audio, like, it was like magic. Like, I think my body's already relaxing thinking about it.
I can the look on your face, even
I'm
just
like,
thinking about it, it's like heaven.
that's the word for a yoga nidra. And I started listening to this audio and I was fine. Like I was doing restorative practice, I was doing breathing, I was journaling, and then I was listening to the yoga nidra and it was like, wow, I'm finally asleep after years of not being able to sleep. So I started using this audio not only at night, but before, like when I came home from your work and, I'll just lay in the ground, put my feet on the couch, put a blanket on, and set a timer for an hour, and I would just like, boom, deep sleep. So when my partner would come back, I was in a good mood. I wasn't stressed um, about the traffic or work or anything else. And now I do it before bed, and I do it like before our conversation today. I took a shower and then I went to a yoga nidra, and I call it a yoga nidra nap. And some people might not like it, but I'm a yoga therapist and I'm a sleep coach. So whatever helps my clients to get better sleep, and that's like just a relaxing meditation that goes through all the koshas, which are the layers of your being. And they say that you get the rest of 1 hour with 10 minutes, which my body does believe that. And honestly, like, even if I'm not asleep, if I'm just resting and breathing, I feel so uplifting and so energized. And those are like two ways that I put it on. Or before, when I was struggling to be asleep all night, I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would play the audio and just put it on repeat. And maybe I didn't sleep at all, but I felt rested and functional the next day. So
Mhm.
that's how I can describe it. I think it was a long oh, but I forgot the main
No,
thing
that's
I was
good.
gonna tell you. So when I came to yoga teacher training, I'm looking up my teachers, and one of them was Jennifer Reyes. The one was I had been doing her yoga nidra for I think 2 or 3 years, like every night, and then I come and then she's my yoga teacher. So I was like,
Oh, that's kind of magical.
yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, and it sounds like it's a good way also to get some of the benefits of sleep, even if you're not quite there yet with being able to sleep a full night. You could still um, do yoga nidra and still have some deeper rest than what you've been getting,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah, and to be honest, I know that yoga nidra, the main, goal is not sleep. It's, like, more deeper listening and awakening and all those beautiful things that we can do with yoga, but for somebody who's not sleeping, like, it won't be able to get that stage, and we start from where the client is, and if that is falling asleep and getting that rest for the day, I am just very happy I can support in that way.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And it's also, to me, why in yoga there's so many practices for our health because it's really hard to work on your spiritual side if your whole body's out of whack. You know, if
Mhm.
you're not in good health and you're struggling, you really don't have the capacity to pay attention to your spiritual development at that point. So you got to start where you are, like you said. And that might be when you're using yoga nidra more for health purposes. Over time, maybe your relationship to it shifts and you see some sort of more of the other possibilities, but it's all good.
It is.
Yeah, we need all of it.
Everybody should take a
Yeah.
yoga nidra nap.
Yeah, I love yoga nidra and I tend to fall asleep when I do it. And you do yoga nidra laying down usually, right? It's like a guided meditation. You get really comfortable and you lay down and listen to the guidance, and like you said, it takes you through different um experiences of like feeling the body, or sometimes like visualizations. Some of them are really like elaborate journeys.
They are. It's, super interesting. I think there's, like, from 7 to 9, 10 steps that you guide the client into, and it's super interesting, but it can be super simple at the same time because there are things that are helping to keep your awareness in the present moment.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a very engaging style of meditation. And I've been told it's okay. Even if you do fall asleep, you're still you're still getting the benefit of the practice and you probably needed the rest.
Yeah.
I kind of along this line too, I noticed from your book that it seems like you work a lot with affirmations. And I'm thinking, that points to the importance of mindset and like how we're thinking about our sleep or how we're thinking about our time and how it influences our ability to sleep well. So I'm wondering, if you have examples of mindsets that people have that get in the way of their sleep, or limiting beliefs that some of your students or clients have had, and how you approach that?
I'm thinking of two different examples. One of them is like the mantras or the positive affirmations, right? I used to tell myself like all these things, and I was like, yes, 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 and it just didn't feel right or felt right until one day I was talking to a friend, and she's like a super foodie, and we were talking about guacamole, and like I saw her like savor and smile and imagine like this guacamole, right? And I was like, oh, that's how I should be feeling my mantra. Like if I'm telling myself like, oh, a chocolate cake or my favorite dessert, like that's how your body is actually listening, right? If not, it's like, what is this? I don't understand. So when setting an intention, I teach my clients and I start doing myself how like to relate those affirmations into something that it feels so amazing that you're actually believing it, because maybe my goal is to love myself and right now I don't feel that love and it doesn't feel right, but maybe if I say, oh, I'm calm, and that resonates more, I can start there. So that's like one of the examples of the importance of learning how to connect with your body and how to actually calm the mind and bring the mind into a state that it works for you. And I have another example that when I came back home after years of living abroad, I was like, oh, this is how it feels to be like the old lady coming back, because I was above 30 and, meaning a small town, like, when I was little, I was like, "Oh, that old lady," and then I was like, "Oh, this is like, I can use this phrase. This is how it feels when I can't fall asleep to acknowledge what's going on," right? So, similar examples, but very different at the same, and one is gonna work really good for maybe you and the other one won't. So it's like that playing and being curious and trying and exploring what your mind needs to believe that you can heal yourself, that you can be okay, that you can sleep like a queen and, just be well.
So that second example was saying, this is what it feels like to, or this is what it feels like when
Mhm.
I'm stressed, or this is what it feels like to feel out of place, or this is what it feels like when I can't sleep.
Yes.
So, okay, so it kind of has like an energy of acceptance, of like, okay, it's like this right now,
Yes, not fighting it.
not fighting it. And the other examples were more like, I am loved. What was the other thing you said? Or I feel calm.
So they're more like setting that mantra or setting that affirmation that you really believe in. So what's my
Hmm.
goal today? I wanna fall asleep and I wanna be very calm and relaxed, and that hasn't happened in a long time. So maybe if I tell myself I'm calm and relaxed, that doesn't work. But what does? Oh, I'm picturing
Okay.
my kids, and they're relaxed, and they're calm, and I love them, and I feel that love. Okay, I bring this energy to the affirmation that I'm setting to be able to change my mindset and be in this stage that I want to be.
I see. So you kind of go through this process of identifying what it is you want to have happen, or what state you want to be in. And then you sort of figure out the words that help you invite that. And they need to be juicy, right? They need to be as delicious as the guacamole or the chocolate cake to
Yes.
really like work on you and resonate. So you can, do you repeat it to yourself during the day? How do you use an affirmation like that?
I start by setting an intention for my day. And we won't go into human design today, but my human design, like the way I work, it's like being like satisfaction. So for me lately, it's been setting that intention of what how would I feel satisfied today? Oh,
Hmm.
so maybe feeling love or getting things done. And from there, it's like, okay, what do I want today? Okay, what affirmation resonates? Feeling love. And I try to repeat it to the day. I also have a set of affirmations that I put in my phone and they ring as reminders during the day or during the week. That's some ways that I do it. And usually, when I'm teaching, I'm setting affirmations and telling my clients and students, and I do the same. So I just carry that around. I'm like, this week, I'm focusing my energy in this. So I try to find affirmations that resonate.
I love that. And it sounds like such a good mindfulness practice just to kind of bring that intention back over and over again during the day to remember, like, this is what I'm trying to express today, or this is the path I'm on today.
Yeah. And there's a phrase, I don't know if I'm saying it right, like your mind creates what you bring. Guess I'm not saying that. I'm thinking about it in Spanish now. I'm like,
Say it for us in Spanish if you have it on the tip of your
I
tongue.
do. Tu mente crea en lo que te enfocas. So your mind creates what you focus on, right?
Yeah, it does, right? Like what we allow our attention to go to shapes our mind state and our perceptions of everything. It shapes how we move through our day and our life. So important.
Yeah.
I love this too because it's broadening this idea of sleep to really like how we live our whole day, not just the 15 minutes before we're trying to put our head on the pillow, right? It's there's more to it than that. Sleep affects our whole day, but how we live our whole day affects our sleep. So it seems like you really are looking at that big picture in the way that you work with this.
I do. I do. I focus on the client as a whole being. And we see this in yoga therapy, right? We are different layers and different stages of our life. We're going to be focusing on something else. And sleep doesn't start when you put your head in the pillow, it starts in the morning.
Yeah, so interesting to think about it that way because I don't know if that's something that we're aware of, enough.
I don't think so. And that's why I'm here.
That's why you're here and why you wrote your book. And in your book, you have a lot of really good reflections for people to work through and different exercises so they can really identify what's getting in the way of sleep and to kind of pick and choose the tools that they like that are the good chocolate cake guacamole tools for them and just not to worry too much about the rest of them. It's a good approach.
Thank you. Yeah, part of why my book is so simple is because I'm dyslexic and I cannot do, like, I have to study things really good and then make them chunks of information that it makes sense. And I've noticed, like, I've been a yoga teacher almost for 7 years and working with this process. And every time I would tell a story or try to tell something in a class, it was like, yeah, but I won't be able to do that. I'm like, of course you can. Look, you can put it in this way and boom, it's super simple. Like, oh yeah, I can do that. So something like meditation, right? Meditation helps and this and this and this. And it was like, oh no, I won't be able to do that after class. And I'm like, how can I do it to make it so simple that people can actually do it? And I think that I managed to do that because I need those simple tools myself. And I've seen how making it like small sizes, people can actually start. And once, like, oh, this works, they start doing more work. So for me, it was very, very important to make it so, so simple that people will actually do it. And I think I got it.
Yeah, I think that's super smart, and it's really a lot of what a yoga therapist does is help to say, "Okay, there's this tool, but you've gotta figure out how to apply it to yourself."
Hmm.
And we help people figure that out and help people narrow that down because there's a lot of things, there's a lot of tools, there's a lot of approaches. And if you try to do it all at once, you're gonna get overwhelmed and nothing's gonna stick.
Yeah.
And you're gonna think, I can't do it. So you need the, I think, guidance to really like make it your own and figure out what gets you a win right off the bat, what helps you like get hooked on this in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah. We all want those wins and those fast transformations, but we have to start small. And when something's working, of course, we're going to be more encouraged to keep doing the work.
Exactly. Well, I have to ask you about avocado hugs. We talked about guacamole, but I noticed this phrase is like your signature and you put it on your social media a lot and your emails and stuff. And it's so cute. And you also have a movement in your book called Avocado Hugs. So I just wondered if there was a story of where this comes from or what it means to you.
It has been a transformation of marketing and self-love, to be honest.
Both together.
Yeah, it started because I was looking for that element that they tell you when you're launching your brand, like what are some elements that you use, and I wanted to bring some of my Mexican culture into it. So I start looking like for Mayan music or Aztec music and stuff like that and putting it in my classes and then I just start I don't really know how it started, but it was like, "Oh, yeah, sending you avocado hugs," and it started resonating with a lot of people, and I was like, "Okay, okay," and then I started getting out of these images and accessories of avocados all over, and then I'm like, "Okay, let me look more into it," and then I realized that avocados have like a lot of elements that help you for sleep, like magnesium and potassium.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa.
And then in one of my sequence in my book of the physical layer, I have sequences for low back pain, neck and shoulder, um, to release all this stress and tension right in these areas. And one of them I call like it's a movement that I've learned, like hugging yourself, from my mentor Lee Albert. And I would call it chocolate hugs because in his class, it was he would have an altar, a chocolate altar, because all the endorphins that chocolate give you. And when you're studying for long hours, your brain is like needing more sugar to be able to process all this information and all. Like he's super, super nice and super cute that I called it avocado hugs and I mean chocolate hugs. But when I was doing my book, I was like, no, these are my chocolate hugs. So those and they became those hugs that you give yourself and you acknowledge the good work that you've done. And that reminder that only you are going to love yourself so much and be there for yourself all the time. So it's just like that reminder of loving yourself so much that everything else in your life will follow.
I love that, and I had no idea the nutrients in avocados promote good sleep, so that's a huge plus,
I
and
know.
it just gives me such a warm vibe and such a, like, yummy feeling, to think about the avocado hugs, so I think it's a great signature.
It works.
Av I have to say avocados are one of the things I really miss since I moved to Washington State because we used to live on a street in Southern California that had avocado trees, and
Mhm.
now we have them here, but they're really expensive and they're not as good, so
I could give you a trick.
I'll take it.
So one of the things with avocados is that either you buy them like super ripe or green, right? So if you buy them
Hmm.
green, put them outside with the banana next to it, like overnight. And then in the morning, now you put it in the fridge and you'll have better quality avocados.
Will that work if it's about as cold as the fridge outside? In Washington weather.
I think so.
Maybe a warm place?
Maybe inside a cupboard or something, but the thing is
Okay.
that the bananas have like this, like they spray something that makes them like
Some kind of gas they
yeah,
give
gas,
off.
yeah, and that gas
Yeah.
helps them to mature more naturally. So,
Okay.
yeah,
I love it. I will definitely give it a try. I hate to waste an avocado. They're too good.
inexpensive.
They are, especially up here.
Yeah,
I miss being able to just have one fall off the tree while I'm not walking down the sidewalk and grab it. But
I've never had that experience. I
really?
definitely have to
So,
try it.
in some parts of LA, that is, possible, but that is one thing I miss.
Mm.
Well, I really enjoyed talking about this topic of sleep, and it's such a wide-ranging topic. I would love to have you share a little more about where people can connect with you or where they can find your book and get more information.
So you can find me at monicalavarin.com. That's my website and social media as well. I'm more on LinkedIn and Instagram. That's Monica Lavarin. And yeah, just send me a text and I'm happy to connect. I have a free Yoga Nidra audio in my website, or you can go to monicalavarin.com/free Yoga Nidra to get a good night's sleep tonight.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I will put all of those links on the podcast page so people can go and find them and find a link to your book as well. So that'll be easy to do.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this and hopefully to give people some good tools and ideas to sleep better and feel better in general.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for such interesting questions. And it's so nice to talk to another yoga therapist that I don't have to explain most of the things. And you've done such a wonderful job with your podcast that I'm so honored to be here. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Monica.
So that's today's episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, please share it with a friend, subscribe on YouTube, or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and help others find it that way. To learn more about my work, the Moved to Meditate class library, courses, or teacher trainings, go to movedtomeditate.yoga. This is Addie D. Hilster. Thanks so much for listening.